Dispatches from Deep Space Nine.
All right, welcome back to Dispatches from Deep Space Nine. We're on Babel from season 1. Ben?
Yeah.
What'd you think about Babel?
Well, I like Babel. I think you said repeatedly at the end, this was a silly episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that silly. It was about a virus that
It was a little silly.
brought people the power of speech. It's like classic Star Trek. You know, there's a virus and it gets into the ship / space station, and it affects their speech, and so they all speak gibberish, which is a fun thing, because a lot of times space station language is overly direct, and there was just some like at least one moment where you're like, oh, are they doing spaceship jargon, or are they
Right?
are they just doing the speech? Right. And it was like the movie Pontypool. I'm sure that comes up a lot. There's a movie about a zombie outbreak that is spread by language. And I think it involves gibberish language. And anyway, I like this episode. I thought it was good. I don't think it was too silly. It was nice.
What'd you think about your favorite character?
There's a character in the opening scene where, and I have him pulled up on my screen now, where he's
Captain Jahil,
and he's arguing with Chief O'Brien about he wants to leave. He's got a shipment of stuff that he needs to get somewhere, and it will spoil if he doesn't get it there real soon.
Like food or something, and he died 2 years ago.
Aw. Well,
I guess 3 years ago.
What was the actor's name?
On my birthday. His name is Jack Keller, looks like.
That's cool.
He was best known for his role of Marty, a landlord in The Big Lebowski.
Oh, wow. Oh, that must mean that he is the kid from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I think.
It says he was in Men in Black 2, The Last Boy Scout, Point Break, Wyatt Earp, and Waterworld.
Well, there's a guy, I thought the guy who plays the landlord in The Big Lebowski, who they also go to see his show, his art performance. I think that was the kid who played the kid who got Mike TV from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the 70s version or 80s version. I
don't know.
He's somewhere in The Big Lebowski. I thought he played the dude's landlord. Anyway,
this guy's also in Lost Highway.
Really? Wow. And I think that is Mike TV from Charlie Chocolate, because as I remember when I read obituaries about him and read about him, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a different landlord character from Big Lebowski. But as his character as Captain Jahil, and you joke that it was Captain Tennille, but I think, and that may really be a pun on his name. But anyway, you said you must like that character because he has more than one thing on his face. And
I did say that.
And he did. He has like a wolfman beard, like mismatched hair of different lengths hanging off his beard, and he's got like, wrinkles going up out of his chin and cheekbones into his nose, and like a kind of like a wharf.
Some ridges
above the brow, and he looks like an alien, but then he looks like a very unkempt man who's wearing like a sweater, and he has messy hair, and it makes him seem, I don't know, not perfect. I don't know. It looks good.
He's put off definitely by everything that's happening at all times, and but he's like very quiet at the same time. Yeah. So I was like, this is Ben's favorite character.
Well, I mean, again, they did more than one thing to his face to make him an alien. They're like, let's put an earring on him. Let's put a big dangly earring, and that's what we're gonna do.
Look, that is their religion.
Yeah,
Ben. So I'm taking offense to that. Yeah. Okay, that's part of their religion.
Yeah. But that first scene is about O'Brien. Is trying to repair, I forget what, and that he can't. Oh, he's trying to get some people out who's stuck in an airlock who look like the people from Alien Nation, this sci-fi racial allegory from the 90s. And he turns to this man. He's like, I got to get out of here. I need to get out of here or my food will spoil.
Their best just won't do.
Yeah. and I know a little bit about the show because I've talked to you about it because it's your favorite show, and you, I think, have said this probably in another podcast. Probably in the Deadwood podcast, you said O'Brien must suffer was the writer's rule, and that was very clear in this opening scene. Like O'Brien,
as I was saying while we were watching it, he is Sisyphus of Deep Space Nine. He's just forever rolling a boulder of sorrow up a hill.
And it made me think, like, you said these writers hate being married. And it made me think these writers hate being alive. They don't like, but everyone does, like we don't say it, but like a lot of times it's trouble.
But I think they commonly, I think they see O'Brien as this guy who is like, kind of like all the other officers and stuff get to like explore space anomalies and do like wacky things, and he's like stuck fixing the dishwasher. It's like that's like his lot in life, and he basically says as much. This is not the first time everything's gonna break on the ship and O'Brien has to fix everything. Like that's just part of it. This space station sucks and he has to constantly fix it.
Yeah, but this was great. This was to great effect. Like I think it was the next scene. Maybe it's the same scene technically. I don't know if it's before opening credits or not, but he goes to the bridge or whatever the main area is, and the captain like complains about the coffee from the replicator. It tastes terrible.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. Is it too hot?
It's too hot.
And then there's something else that breaks down that Kira tells him, and he just snaps. And it's just lovely. And it's just like, that's what life is like sometimes, is you feel like you have too much on you. And
you were talking about being like overwhelmed and stuff in your like actual life. And then I was wondering if you were getting some sort of catharsis out of the O'Brien character.
I didn't think about that consciously, but I definitely got, I relate to the idea of having too much to do, or either too little to do or too much to do constantly, and never having the ability to achieve a balance. And because he has too many duties, and I really like that.
I think O'Brien is a lot of people's spirit animal in that way, especially a lot of Americans. Spirit animal.
But like it's, I don't know. As if you're going through an O'Brien-like situation, you have to find like it's not good for the task that you have to maintain for you to burn out at those tasks. Like,
or for you to miss the fact that there's a terrorist device that's been strapped to the replicator that you just fixed
for
and
18
that's now
years.
Slowly killing everyone.
Yes. Yeah, and so that first scene pans over to his replicator through some nice sci-fi wires and some cool. You said some mystery liquid that's apparently in all the replicators.
I guess
and it goes down, and there's just this device that looks like kind of like a Raspberry Pi that somebody's attached to.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a BlackBerry, or not a BlackBerry. What was the PDA?
Palm Pilot.
Yeah, like a Palm Pilot. Yeah, it looked like that. Yeah.
Something else, BlackBerry. But yeah, burnout is real, and again, it just like people. There's a buzzword from the last 5 years. Again, this is maybe swinging too big for the fences from this opening scene, but
we haven't moved past the opening scene.
Work-life balance is a thing, and that's what the buzzword. And then, but the weight of capitalism basically just is like, fuck that. Like there's never any balance. There's just.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, what do you think about Quark in this episode?
What is Quark? Go ahead.
I mean, Quark, his replicators are down because everybody's stuff is down, but he's having to wait to be last in line because there's other more important things that have to get fixed before his stuff that he's just using to sell to people on the station, which is like ludicrous. And so he uses nefarious stuff. He's acquired these command sticks or whatever so that he can bypass and get through certain lockouts on the system. Finds a replicator that's not being used, and then uses that replicator, which ends up being the one that has the device attached to it, and then spreads it to everybody. So in that way, it's about his greed that gets everybody fucked up because he couldn't wait in line. And they hit that point home later when they have the hospital that they've made out of the abandoned rooms and stuff on the station. And Cisco walks in. Is it Cisco? I think it's Cisco. He walks in and Quark is just sitting there berating one of these asphagic patients that are just talking nonsense, and he's like screaming about his money to this guy. He has no remorse for any of it. But then he gets a funny bit at the end where he gets to come in and help Odo. And
there's a loving nature to his repartee with Odo. It seems at times.
They have a nice tit for tat kind of thing going back and forth, and they like each other.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of thought about all of that. Like, two things that struck me. One, and this is probably very common for Star Trek, but replicators just remind me of 3D printing.
Yep.
And which is new in the last 5-10 years. And the verification sticks that he had in a drawer, they said, give us your verification code, which is just like, a 2-step verification when you're signing into something online. I thought that was very ahead of its time. There's something I know from discourse in Star Trek outside of this about, the Ferengis as, perhaps they're a little bit of an anti-Semitic stereotype. And I kind of was reminded of that with Quark being so obsessed with gold that he was yelling at his dying person. But I really appreciate, that's just a point to make. It's not a huge problem for me but I do think it is a point to be made about the Ferengi. There's like a little bit of that there maybe. But I like Armin Shimmerman as Quark. I really like Quark.
I'm sure if you were to ask Armin Shimmerman, he loves Quark as a character, and Armin Shimmerman is Jewish. So I'm sure if you were to ask him and all the other people who aren't Jewish that are also play Ferengi and stuff too, I don't think they would view it that way.
I'm sure it's not intended in any way as an anti-Semitic stereotype. It just that's what I thought of.
Yeah. It definitely crossed my mind when I started watching this show, especially because it really highlights Ferengi a lot in this show as opposed to other ones, because they only show up a little bit in TNG, but that's definitely a criticism of the Ferengi. But I think that was more of a criticism from like TNG kind of era Ferengi, because I think, I don't know, they were more one-dimensional, and Quark is not really. You'll see, they really push the mythos of the Ferengi and stuff in this to an insane degree. And really what they end up representing is more so like America and kind of like capitalism in general, in a very, I think, satisfying way later in the series.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I'm used to media that is problematic regardless, and this is not, I know Star Trek is intended in a very like anti-racist way, and it's very much about kind of utopian ideals. And I don't think that Armin Shimmerman is out there being like,
and I mean he's over here coming up with all the little mannerisms and stuff for this character and making him kind of like come to life more. A lot of the other Ferengi that had been around before were more kind of just portrayed as like monsters or just like fucking angry all the time. And he actually like took it to the next level and gave him like more dimensions to the character.
This is also something where watching things, being addicted to YouTube, I've seen the YouTube clip where our Quark discusses root beer, maybe with Garrick. So like I know that, and I like Quark because of that, and probably because of other YouTube videos. Like I know Quark, I think a little bit through YouTube.
That's funny that he's getting out in that way. I mean, it makes sense. I have the Ferengi rules of acquisition in a book. I think I don't remember. Maybe it says it's like something published by Quark or something. They did a lot of that kind of stuff in the 90s and stuff, where they were like, this is Neelix's cookbook from Star Trek Voyager, and I have that on like the iPad or something.
That's cool.
I thought that was funny. It doesn't really have that many interesting things in it. It's just more because it was like fun. It's written by him.
It's part of this art object thing.
Which they haven't gotten to the Ferengi rules of acquisition yet, really, but they will get to that at some point, where it becomes a thing where they just are constantly quoting these kind of like rules they live by.
Yeah.
And I think some of them were maybe made up by Armin Shimmerman. So
that's cool. Yeah, I love world building, and I love anything you can do to make something seem as real as possible. And I think that's cool.
This episode does a little less of that, but you're starting to get a little bit of the beginnings of certain relationships like Quark and Odo. I think this actually illustrates their relationship a little bit better than some of the previous episodes.
Yeah. I mean, again, it seems to vary between Odo is threatening Quark in a realistic and believable way, and then Quark seems to be a little bit like he might want to kill Odo a little bit, but then they're joking.
They both want to kill each other, seemingly.
Yeah.
And Kira is starting to demonstrate some of her like better qualities of like, I'm not gonna just sit here and talk about being a freedom fighter or whatever. I'm gonna do the thing that makes me unique in the show, and I act first where other people are gonna wait around.
Yeah. I thought her hair got even smaller than it was in the previous episode. I felt like she had even tighter.
This is where it is for the rest of the show, as far as I can remember.
I think it suits her. And as you said while we were watching it, like she said that it didn't fit the character to have big hair, and that makes sense.
It doesn't make any sense. She's right. Like if she doesn't seem like the kind of person that would put a bunch of effort into her hair, even though obviously she has a bunch of product and stuff in it, but it's much shorter and it requires less time to, you're not styling it. You're kind of just going, putting your, almost like running your hands through it kind of thing.
Yeah. And I thought the mechanics of virus transmission, and also from doing some secretarial work to my friend, the late Dr. Doan, about DNA type stuff. Like I like their discussion of DNA. The way Dr. Bashir talked about DNA was good. And I thought, like I did think that in terms of the virus transmission and the way and we had experience in real life with a virus, obviously. Right. And like, like it seemed like they should have all put on masks at some point, but then you pointed out like they probably would have used the replicator to make the mask, and therefore the replicator could have given them the virus. But I don't know. I think they could have, they could have had mask on hand. They could have scanned the mask.
Or was the problem they were already all infected anyway, so it didn't matter if you had a mask at this point? I mean,
But I like that it changed to air transmission from replicator transmission. I really like the detail. They were like, oh, it's the Cardassians. But then they're like, no, it was Bajoran freedom fighters 18 years ago.
They were trying to kill Cardassians.
But then they forgot about it, or all the freedom fighters got killed, and they just left it here, and it's been dormant for 18 years.
Yeah, and that's until that replicator was restarted.
Yeah.
Once it, it's like restarting a computer or whatever, and it's like, oh, I got an update.
Yeah. It's like the law of unintended consequences, like they really, it's just that's really a fun thing. And that's probably my favorite thing about the writing is like the show is very open to that, like very kind of mordant ideas about the way life works. Like people wanted to hurt the Kardashians, but they ended up hurting people 18 years later after the Kardashians left. And
I mean, that's a very Star Trek mindset. So it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a little bit darker, right, than usual? Because, Star Trek usually is... they went... I don't know. Maybe they do have that.
Well, they... into the extent that it's like, oh, you didn't intend for this, but this is where this gets you. That's a very Star Trek kind of thing. Ira Stephen Bear, who you don't No, probably not. But this is his first writing credit on an episode of Deep Space Nine, and he was the main producer on this show. This was kind of his baby. And maybe when we're done with the show, we can watch. The last thing we can watch is the documentary that's about the making of the show that he produced 6-7 years. No, probably longer than that. But we can 2018. I have the poster in my hallway. I'm staring at it. But we can watch that too, because there's a lot of good little insight and tidbits, and I haven't watched it. I saw it in the theater. Like, it came to Malco randomly for like one night, so I went to go see it.
Like, Deep Space Nine must have been popular. Yeah.
I mean, it's fairly popular for Star Trek, and it's odd because like TNG and the original series TOS, they got the HD treatment. They went back to the original film stock and stuff and made all these HD things, and then they were kind of circling around maybe doing it for Deep Space Nine, and then they went, nah. And they said, fuck it, we're not doing any more of them. So now it's only, in terms of HD stuff, but there is somebody on the internet, because Charlotte was showing me this the other day, that is meticulously going through the laser discs and all these other like formats for Deep Space Nine, and they're trying to do these upscales of the episodes with as little artifacting and weird color problems and stuff as possible. And I've seen some of the stuff, and it looks pretty fucking good. And this, what we're watching on Paramount Plus, is just, it's a little muddy looking. It looks like it always has looked, since it was on TV. But this is the only way I've ever seen it.
I don't mind the 4x3. I recommend, if you get bored.
I don't mind the 4x3. It's just the image is a little. It's better. It's better on these other ones.
Well, I mean, this is just how I've always perceived Star Trek. But like, I like the redo of the original series on Netflix. It had some fun. It looked clear. I don't know. It was what was available to me. But I was going to say, there's a YouTube video called Buffy Pan and Scan, or Buffy HD. The problem with Buffy HD, it's by this guy. I forget his name of his channel, but he has a really cool voice, and he does this stuff. And he does this whole criticism of the Buffy HD upscaling release, which was done like basically automated. And like in some of the shots, you can see like the crew members. Like it's now 16:9, but you can see crew members.
Yeah.
You can see like stunt people stopping, and like it's all they didn't. No one looked at it. They just did it, and it's just like they made it so bad, and it's funny. I've never watched it, but just like I've seen a rundown of all the mistakes, and it's fun.
That's funny. Well, that's like Charlotte was telling me for I think it was the Alien like 4K release or something. Maybe it was just the original release. I don't know. And I haven't looked into it, so I don't know. But what she was telling me was that they just did some AI upscaling shit for it at first, when it was like early AI shit. And it was just like nightmare shit. Like people in the background had like gigantic smiles and like just weird shit that was it wouldn't happen to like the main characters and stuff, but in the background you would see these people that were just kind of like back there, and they would just look like fucking some nightmare fuel. But I don't think that's what this guy's doing on Deep Space Nine. And this is some dude that's just doing it in his spare time, which is nuts.
Yeah. Well, where are we in the episode?
I mean, honestly, it's a pretty straightforward episode. They all get the fucking virus. They fucking cure the virus. This is a pretty boilerplate.
Well, okay, wait.
Star Trek episode.
Okay, we got one more thing, one more beat. You talked about Kira. Kira charges ahead. I wasn't aware that she charges ahead, but it seems like this is true. She does charge ahead and do stuff. She's like, all right, I'm going to get to, Captain Sisko is like, hey, you can't leave the station. We're under quarantine. Kira's like, I'm doing my things. I'm a loose cannon. I'm going to do it. And so, and she's like, anyway, she goes and this doctor is being cagey. She, the place where the freedom fighter was who died, the doctor there is still alive, and she beams him out of his hospital and puts him into a spaceship with her. And I liked that a lot. And I liked him having to be like, oh shit, I did something 18 years ago and I was the assistant. I don't feel responsible. And he's like, all right, well, but I did think there needed to be a character beat or something, because all he does is sit down at the station and Dr. Bashir has succumbed to the virus. And then he's just like, and everybody's like, this guy was brilliant. The freedom fighter who designed this virus. He was a genius, which I also liked. I like Dr. Bashir is like talking about how, Chief O'Brien's going to die. But he's like, this guy was a genius. And then, so it gets to the doctor who's been forced against his will to be contaminated and to jump into the situation. And he solves it in about like
but he's also not even the doctor that came up with it. He's just the assistant to the doctor.
I know. So that leads me to think the freedom fighter was not that brilliant. If just like the assistant can be like, he also says, oh, this guy was brilliant, but like he came up with an antidote in about 10, 20 minutes. I mean, like, they had no more time.
Well, no, Bashir had done most of the work,
but he couldn't figure it out.
No, because he was a phasic or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was, it was like he loosened the fucking pickle jar, and then dude comes in at the end and goes, aha!
Yeah.
See, I'm so strong. Any pickle jar I can open.
I feel like they needed a little bit more. Like he said something along those lines.
Sure.
Like he did say Dr. Bashir did a lot of work and stuff.
But 100%, they ran out of time, and they just were like, this is done.
It would be nice if there was something to tie into the opening ideas of the episode, just to tie it all together and give a little bit extra oomph to that ending, instead of just like a doctor being like, yep.
There is something that ties it back. Mm-hmm. Because Chief O'Brien is sitting there working on stuff again. He's back to being overworked. And then Cisco goes to the replicator and he goes, O'Brien! And then he looks like he's in trouble. Like O'Brien's like, oh.
Yeah, and then it looks to
that ties it back around.
And it's just another like sitcom ending for the show. Last episode was a sitcom.
That's why
ending.
I said this is very silly.
Yeah, like, and it's just like he looks to Kira and Dax, and Kira and Dax are like, "Oh my gosh!" They shake their heads, and it's like, "Oh, Brian," and it's like it's just missing like a
Quark thing was silly.
Yeah,
the Quark thing was silly with him coming to the bridge and everybody's like, "You're on the bridge," and it's goofy, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
I like that. I like the idea of people coming together to do things unusual and switch roles and do things that are. I like Quark being on the bridge, even though it's too early in the series for that to really be of any
impact to you.
Yeah, it's like I don't really have a sense of. He hangs out in his place, and but anyway, I was going to say that about the. I forget about the oomph or the, oh man, I forget. I've lost my place what I was going to say about the oomph of Bashir or the doctor coming up with
while you're thinking of your oomph.
Yeah.
One of your other favorite characters is Morn.
Oh yeah.
The fella who has been in, I think, every episode so far.
He just hangs out in the bar.
He is played by one Mark Allen Shepard, who also appeared as Morn in TNG and Voyager, one episode apiece. He is still alive. He's an artist who creates abstract impressionist paintings, and 24 of his works were featured in Star Trek Deep Space Nine in various set dressings. So if we can get Mark Allen Shepard to come on this show, we won't have him talk because that's Morn. He just sits at the end of the bar,
Yeah.
But he could still be on the episode. He'll watch it with us, and then when we do this, you'll just hear a little extra like background noise because that'll be his house.
I think we could have him talk.
That's all right.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
right.
I mean, we can not have him talk, but I think we should. Yeah, definitely. Please have him on. He's great. His makeup his design of his face is amazing. He's like the best alien in the whole thing. I was going to say a shout out to my friend Andy and her coworker Ceylon, who have both agreed that they will listen to this show at work because they both love Deep Space Nine. So we'll have two people, if they make it to this episode, listening to this.
Is there anybody else in the show from this episode that you're wanting to point out, talk about? I mean, we hit pretty much every major point from this episode. It's not an especially deep episode or anything.
No, I mean, again, one thing that I was going to say was the way that the anticlimactic solving of the problem with the DNA sequencing works for me is like when you have a computer problem. And I take things to my brother, who at this point has been fixing my computer problems my entire life, and he's way past it because he's just like, he has other things to do that fix my computer problems. But it's like, you go and you have a problem and it's just bizarre to you. You're just like, I can't solve this. And then you take it to him and he's just like, oh, you just, and it's like he solves it in like a second, and like it doesn't matter to him. Like, that's the way I like anticlimactic endings. It's kind of like it's kind of a mirror of the 18 years ago. Somebody did something with an entirely different set of circumstances, and now it's going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
The same answer of like, there's this problem that's like life or death, and somebody's like, it's not a big deal. Like, I like that ending. They just need to put a little bit more something to sell it. I don't know what that oomph. I can't come up with a better oomph than that. But like, maybe if the guy had just been more like, I'll solve it, it's no problem. Oh yeah, we just did that for fun. Like that kind of thing. Like some sort of thing like that. I don't know. Some way to make it a little bit more satirical or strange or different. But the show, that's where the ending faltered. And again, they ran out of time. But
yeah, I mean, they ran out of time. It's season one. Season one of most shows was kind of like, woof.
Yeah,
you kind of got to get past it which there's no luxury like that anymore. People don't fucking do that shit anymore. If they don't catch you the first 2 episodes, people just go and they never watch another episode of a show again. But Star Trek is pretty frequently like that. Like it's usually like season 1 and maybe even season 2 before he starts, seeing anything that's actually what I would consider indicative of the rest of the show. Like, there are probably a handful of episodes from this first season that I think are like super indicative of the rest of the show. There's moments and things in these episodes, and the characters and stuff, obviously, but like the actual like feeling of the show, I think, doesn't really get kicked off for a minute. Although there are episodes here and there where that is, it does really.
This is very indicative. This is very indicative of a Star Trek episode. This is just the trouble of tribbles kind of deal.
It's. I mean, and we're 5 episodes in, or whatever the fuck, 4 episodes in. So it's like that's why. Like, if you go back and watch the first season of TNG, there's some very TOS-y kind of episodes.
Yeah.
And not in the good way.
Yeah. There's the naked now or whatever.
Whatever the fuck.
But I was gonna say also that you pointed this out during the episode. Odo goes to the nerdy guy who's just like, I gotta get out of this space station. So he just tries to declamp himself, even though it's gonna blow him up. He's just like, I gotta get it. This is the dumbest shit. Like, he's just like, again, like, they didn't really have enough time to give like him much. He's just like a guy who's like feels put upon, like O'Brien.
Yeah.
So Odo has to like throw him out of his spaceship. There was a nice shot where they cut to his image of his bridge of his. Yeah,
you love that, the part with the fire.
There's a bridge on fire. Bridge. You don't really see with nobody visible, and like you don't see that much in Star Trek. You don't see disorder and chaos in Star Trek, and I like that. That's the promise of this show, with all the machinery not working, which is more like Star Wars. But I do want to say that 2 things happened there. I did not like when he took the nerdy man and just dropped him in a dark hallway. Like, the lighting in that was just like, it was like a security footage. It wasn't supposed to be security footage, but it was just like Odo just dropping a person and you can't see anything. It was just like, that was, but there was a nice moment, and you pointed out as he did it, where he was like changing the power couplings or whatever. And they used the phrase power couplings, which is Star Wars phrase. But anyway, they went, probably a real life phrase. But anyway, they went over to Odo like does something with something to undo the clamps that keeps the ship so he can get it from exploding at the space station.
There's those 2 big ass pistons or whatever.
Yeah, there's these 2 big ass pistons, and like you said, you don't remember them from the rest of the show, and it's like they look like basically like real machinery of some sort that somebody like put together. Like, that was a real budget. Like, there was some thought, cool. And it was like 2 of them. I don't know if is it mirrored or did he just go to the same place? I don't know if it was the same shot.
I feel like it was the same shot. Maybe it wasn't though.
But like, he went. They were on either sides of a hallway, and he pushed them back manually, and it was cool. Like that gave a real sense of like, I don't know, him having to physically do something.
Yeah. So overall, you would give the episode what, 3 out of 10?
No, God, no. I like that episode.
No, I'm just messing with you.
I would say
I don't want to give things numbers.
I would say not silly.
We do letters here.
Yeah, letters. Oh, okay.
And not traditional letters. We're gonna have to go with Klingon alphabet.
Okay. I don't know the Klingon alphabet.
All right, I guess next time we'll know the fucking Klingon alphabet and then we can grade it.
Sure, yeah. I was going to say that the only thing, and I said this before, was if the replicator had been like creating a new life form, like a clone, the clone from the last episode would have been really cool.
You're really into the Cronenberg monsters.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think that's why I think I prefer the last episode a little bit more than this episode with the clone, where Odo, again, it's just as silly that they don't follow up on it, but I love Odo being like, you murdered your own clone. That's still, you killed.
That's still murder.
Yeah, unfortunately, killing your own clone is still murder. And then cut away and we don't know anything else of it. Like, that's fun. And this was fun too. I'd rate these 2 episodes as, I enjoyed them, I think, more than the first 2 episodes because they're like less preachy. That's where I'm at. Even though I think the first episode is probably, as a drama, is probably the most. It had a message and ideas, and like the first episode, it's hard to demerit that. And I'm just past prologue was really preachy. That's the low point so far.
Yeah.
Opening and closing music courtesy of Lewis Humanoid 2 on YouTube. Go check them out.